ones on ESPN. It's like, this portion of the match is brought to you by Budweiser or MasterCard. MasterCard was the big one. That was the one they did every like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was also on the back of our jerseys with Sierra Mist. For some reason, I don't know why Sierra Mist was involved and not like just whoever owns them, but whatever.
Like, and I understand with certain sponsors, but sometimes certain sponsors don't make sense. Like, if you're selling donuts and coffee at a soccer game, it's like, doesn't it, you know, kind of... Or like, it's like the same thing when I see the Olympics and McDonald's as a sponsor of the food.
Yeah.
It's like, really? You know?
Well, would you rather have Dunkin' Donuts sponsoring, like, New England or whatever, or... You know, someone like Herbalife or LifeVantage for RSL and LA and those beautiful
multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
You know what? Dunkin' Donuts is acceptable for New England only. having lived in New England and recognizing the, you know, reverence that your average New Englander has for Dunkin' Donuts, for Dunky's coffee, which is disgusting if you've never had it. Yeah.
And how do we have two Canadian teams that have BMO on the front and nobody's doing Tim Hortons?
Okay, so
come
on. It's called BMO is Bank of Montreal.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is our rival, which is our shirt sponsor. Yet the Bank of Montreal is headquartered in Toronto.
Right.
So it's very convoluted, you know.
Did they move over in the 70s when?
That's exactly what happened.
There were some people who decided
you got it.
blowing shit up.
And then Bell and Rogers.
Wait, what happened in the 70s?
Oh, it was like. Sorry, you can.
No, you go ahead. You tell it.
I'll tell you my version of this,
All
and
right.
then you can correct
Okay.
me.
Let me tell you all about your country's history.
No, this is good. It's like drunk history. It's like geography. Totally inept. No, it's that it's Q whatever. It was the super separatist party in Quebec. Had a string of bombings where they were bombing banks and other large institutions that they felt didn't respect the rights of Quebecois French speakers correctly, and that there were institutions that were trying to tie the province of Quebec too tightly to the rest of the country.
Yep,
and it was the QLN, is that right? No.
That's PLQ, I believe.
PLQ.
I'm actually looking it up, but it was the only time, one of the only times after World War II where martial law was enacted in Canada.
Yeah.
So it was like a huge crisis for us, right? Anyways, but to get back to it, you know what's even more interesting than that? You know the owners of TFC are partially owned by Bell and Rogers, and who's the shirt sponsor of Vancouver? Bell.
Oh, that's yeah.
So it gets really screwy with us.
You people are incestuous.
You guys only have like 4 companies or something?
That's it. We have 3 cell phone companies in this country, and that's it. They all convolute together, and whenever they all have a special deal on cell phone prices, they all happen to have the same deal. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, hey, talking about Civil War, let's talk DCU and New York.
Woo! Yeah, soccer points. Goals.
Goal.
Yeah. Absence of goals on the other side. Hey, we have a shutout streak going. We haven't allowed a goal in 190 minutes of soccer.
Wow, that's okay. Yeah.
Ian
I'm not sure
is
if that's
dancing
impressive.
for those of you that are not listening to the podcast.
For those of you who get the audio-only version,
Right.
which is everybody.
Hey, our platinum members are getting the video version.
Right.
Oh yeah, right. The platinum membership.
And they are unhappy about it. Forced to watch this.
We pay you for a platinum membership.
Ian, it's your time to shine. Tell me all about how you got your prediction right, -3 goals for DC.
Well, I mean, I didn't do anything special. I wasn't super involved in the victory. Davy Arnaud is Davy Arnaud. I don't know. I still don't know how to pronounce that man's name. Is it Arnaud? Can I just
Arnaud?
It's French.
It's French. No.
It's whatever you want it to be, Ian.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, see, that AUD thing, it's kind of weird in French, because you don't really... Sorry. Because there's chaud, right? So it could be Arnaud. But there's
Yeah.
also I'm gonna quit
But it's
talking
always
about
in
the language.
French in general. Just don't pronounce the consonants.
Just drop them. Just
Just,
pick 'em and
just a
drop 'em.
stream of vowels.
So,
punctuated
Pretend
by
like you're
French
drunk
folks,
or
you're
something
good.
and just saying his
Yeah.
name, and yeah, you're
So Ao, he scored a goal off of a corner kick, and that was it. New York couldn't score against us because we're really good at soccer, and mostly because they had a lot of good chances and didn't finish.
Yeah,
But
New York is another team that is looking
they are
far
in.
worse than people thought they were going to look. I mean,
Right.
They've played the same amount and have the same amount of points as you guys. I think they're in far worse shape though.
Could be.
Well, this version of the team is because, and I say this version of the team because I feel like the summer transfer window is going to happen right after the World Cup, and New York is going to bring in 2 or 3 more guys that were at the World Cup, because that's where they would go. They'd go to New York or whatever, and then they'll be a lot different. But until that happens, I mean, we talked in the preview edition about the troubles of front office stuff, and I remember they fired their GM or something like right before the season started, which I felt was kind of weird because, you know, New York won the Supporter Shield last year. You fire your GM after that? That's kind of stupid. But they did, and so there might be some trouble brewing in New York management circles, which is always bad. And then there's also the fact that Thierry Henry's only played like 3 out of their 6 games, but still they haven't won any of them that he's played. So, I mean, they tied Colorado at home. They lose to DC. People are going to be really upset about losing to DC, but they shouldn't be because we're actually a little bit better now. But you know, we'll see. They're probably actually like on the one hand, since the continuity's not there, they're in worse shape than Portland. But on the other hand, they're also playing in the easier conference, and also are more likely to get reinforcements at the middle of the year. So they might be in better shape. I don't know.
They're probably in better
I will not shed a tear for them though if they continue to suck.
Well,
No,
hey, you're 1 win away from tying last year, and it's only April, so
I know.
Nobody's happier for you than us.
Thank you guys.
Is there anything else to say there? I watched most of that game, and outside of being excited for you, it was not an exciting game.
No, not really.
I watched a lot of that game, and I was drawn to continue painting the office in my bedroom. I mean, the office. So that was, I really tried, but after the goal, it was, oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it wasn't pretty. And that's probably how we're going to play all year, which is great, because I get to watch all of them. But
Well, let's move from one bold prediction being right to the next. It took me 2 weeks in a row of calling Dallas out to lose at home, but it happened.
It did. That was a great game. That was the game
That was entertaining.
that, I mean, I actually did fall asleep for a 10-minute segment, right, like from the 55th to 65th minute in the DC game. Well, because I'd been helping my friend move earlier that day, and I just got back and whatever. Anyway, that's not the point.
Don't mention it to Garber, you'll be okay.
Sorry, Don. We can't call him by his first name yet, can we? We haven't met him. We should get him on the podcast. No, but
You're the booker, Ian. That's on you.
that's right.
No, it was an exciting game. It was a very exciting game. It was another game that I was really thrilled to see as the stream of the week. I'm glad that it was the one that was chosen because if we're gonna, go out and try to have, the evangelical side of our sport, then games like that being on the free stream is definitely helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stream of the week thing.
Sorry, I felt bad for Stephen Fry there with that first goal that just got right over his fingertips. That was brutal, man.
I mean, a combination of 30-mile-per-hour winds and a wicked rotation on that ball. Not a lot of people gave enough credit to whoever kicked it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it without wind, it was already coming with some serious spin on it. And then you throw wind, and I felt terrible for him. But I thought after that, he had a really strong game to make up for it. He had some solid saves and good positioning, and just he didn't let it affect him too much.
That's right.
And it was a good, it was definitely a good turnaround from there. Because that was such a Sounders goal to lose.
That's the right attitude to have, especially as a goalkeeper, right? Like everybody's looking towards you for, what's next. Are you going to be confident when they come into the box now? And he held his ground, right? So
yeah,
you see that as a as a center back or even as a midfielder, like, okay, well, I could push a little bit forward, and it helps out the whole team, right?
Yeah. I thought Dallas looked incredible in the first half. I thought that they definitely used the win to their advantage. Mauro Diaz looked great. Fabian Castillo continues to make the wrong decisions, but it really, as the year goes on, I just feel like that team is. I don't feel like they're going to collapse like they did last year. They might regress a little bit because the advanced stats say that they're going to, right? We've all looked at it, and we know that wasn't it our buddy who came on the podcast,
Mr. Steve Fenn.
Mr. Steve Fenn, I believe, recently put out the numbers about how Dallas was, number one goal scoring team and the number 19th when it came to taking shots. Like their luck is off the charts right now, and I think they're going to regress a little bit, but they're a good team, man. They're going to be deadly down the stretch. I do not see them falling apart like they did last year. Mauro Diaz is only going to get better, and the chemistry for that team is going to get stronger. And I believe in Oscar Perea. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. I think that team's going to do fine too. The thing is, though, is they could regress, and that could actually be the difference between them missing and making the playoffs, because I feel like you've got three teams that are pretty locked in there in LA, RSL, and Seattle. I feel like Portland's going to rebound and make it back too, and then the rest of it is just like a big dogfight among Dallas and Colorado and San Jose, who I'm not going to count out yet, and then there's another team that I might be forgetting, but I don't know, whatever. Oh, Vancouver.
Yeah.
Solid. And they've been kicking some ass at home, especially lately. Although, and then there was that Colorado game that was really weird that we didn't talk about last week, but whatever, it's not important.
So yeah, I think Dallas has a real good shot at that fifth spot. But you're right, they're gonna be in the dogfight. They're not gonna be a lock. Mm-hmm. They're not gonna be the team that just dominates for the rest of the year. Can we talk about Dempsey a little bit right now, since they are the team that won? Can we talk about back-to-back Player of the Week and the fact that he's back, and it's a lot earlier than I predicted, which I'm psyched about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you said at the beginning of the year that he's going to be the MVP, and he's kind of looking like the MVP right now.
Yeah, he's looking great.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that not only in Sounders circles, but even on the front page of RMLS today, that Oba is getting some credit, because, man, that guy is playing his ass off right now. He is a talented striker, and that's what we brought him in for last year, and all of a sudden he's playing as this tiny target forward and holding up and making beautiful passes to unlock Dempsey, and he's been really unlucky to not have more goals than he does, but I think he's playing twice as good as he did last year and a much more expanded role. And I think Seattle is something to be feared. It's hard not to be biased, but I mean, from where we were to now over such a short period of time, like, a lot of my fears have dried up with Dempsey coming alive.
I'll take an issue with one word you said there, and that's you said he's a tiny target forward. And when I look at Oba Martins, there are a lot of adjectives that go through my mind, but tiny is not one of them.
All right, short.
Okay.
He's nearly as wide as Kenny Cooper
He is
tall,
muscular.
But
he's got to be like one of the most muscular people.
It's ridiculous. The Kansas City game to open the season, when we got that very last second goal, the Sounders have a tradition of, doing the walk around the field at the end and coming to the supporters section at the very end, after they've made their way around after a victory, to kind of celebrate with the supporters. And I don't know if he was being interviewed or where he was off to the side of the field, but as the guys finally made it to the supporters section, he wasn't there to kind of be there and greet everybody. And he comes streaking from the sideline with his shirt off, and he's just He's such a monster. I mean, he is just cut beyond belief. It's crazy. It's crazy how big he is while being like 5'4" or whatever.
Is he really only 5'4"?
No, I'm gonna 5'10" maybe 5'9". He's definitely he's not.
That's like my height.
Yeah, but it's not what you would typically see up front, you know.
Yeah.
He's just built in such a different way. But anyway, so I was very happy with the result. Obviously, my prediction about Dallas losing at home 2 weeks in a row was more about Dallas and less about Portland and Seattle. I really did think that Portland was going to get it together last week. I thought that was going to be their big statement game. I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago. I thought that was going to be their big statement game, was go in and beat Dallas on the road, and it was also going to be everybody saying, okay, Dallas isn't as good as we thought. And then, so that was kind of how I saw it this week, was same thing for Seattle, you know, go in, get a big win, show everybody that Dallas, you know, is not who we think they are. And it seems like that's the case. A lot of people are putting RSL at the top of the standings right now, and I guess ESPN put Colorado at the top for some reason.
What the hell?
But
I put RSL at the top of mine for what it's worth.
Yeah, I put RSL at the top of mine as well. You know, but yeah. So anyway, it was a great. I'm completely just rambling about that game. I was very happy. I happened to be in Oregon at the time. It was the game that I was able to make time for while I was on vacation, and it was great. It was great. Let's see. I guess we could talk. Speaking of RSL being at the top, everybody's got them at the top of the list, even though they drew Philly, who hasn't been that great of a team.
Yeah, I don't think Philly's a bad team, and traditionally at home they're good. That was not good. I didn't watch the entire game, so I'm going to sound. I'll just pretend that I did watch the entire game, and I'm going to say that was not like a particularly amazing performance by Salt Lake. But I don't know, to go to somewhat
when you're
hostile, team in another conference who's done a lot of new stuff and hasn't hasn't been around in the same form for a while, and to go get. To basically claw back a point out of that, I feel like is respectable. Also, RSL's at the top because who else is going to be at the top?
It's really interesting to me. Like I know it's obviously such a small sample size, but like if you pull up just the supportership, if you pull up the single table, it's really interesting to see that everyone has RSL at the top, despite only 2 wins in 6 games. Mm-hmm. But they've got 4 draws, and they played LA twice. And you're exactly right. It's hard to argue right now who else has earned to be at the top. Mm-hmm. Every team that's been there has gone through the curse of the top of the power rankings. God, look at Houston. Houston was the top team a few weeks ago, and
I do want to talk about Houston a little bit because I have a point to make about them.
Jump in, let's do it.
Remember, and I'm going to keep referencing this like the whole year, our preseason preview episode where we talked about Houston and how sort of they might be, well, they are stagnant. Before it was consistency when they were doing well, right? But now it's stagnation now that they're kind of sucking and they've lost 3 games in a row. And I feel like if Houston is bad or if Houston doesn't make the playoffs, that's a good sign for MLS. Because they've kept the same team for several years in a row that have hung on, gotten the 5 seed, gone to MLS Cup a couple times, but if they're not good enough to crack the top 5 in the East this year, that's a good sign for MLS.
You think because they play a fairly grotesque style and are reliant on the 70-yard wide field for a lot of their set piece play, and it's
not just that they've brought in one guy of consequence over the last couple of years, and that was Oscar Boniek Garcia, and he was there for their MLS Cup title